the revolutionary power of letting go. When we desperately try to hold on to happiness, we actually push it away. This simple truth is why so many of us miss the good things happening right in front of us. If this resonates with you, you're in the right place. Today, we're embarking on a journey together to explore a truly revolutionary idea, the incredible power of letting go. After decades of collecting experiences, relationships, and possessions, you may find yourself wondering whether holding on to everything is truly serving you well. How might the wisdom of letting go, a practice honored across cultures for centuries, bring more peace and fulfillment to your life now? And how can these time-tested principles help address the unique challenges we face in our golden years? Well, today we're diving deep into the heart of this seemingly paradoxical concept. We're going to uncover why radical letting go isn't an act of deprivation or giving up on life, but actually the key that unlocks true freedom and lasting happiness. It challenges that deeply ingrained belief that having more family around, more opportunities to reminisce, or avoiding the reality of being seen as useless will finally bring us the contentment we seek. Instead, this path gently guides us to turn our gaze inward, to carefully examine the very roots of our unease, that persistent craving for what we don't have, and that tenacious grip we hold on what we do. Get ready, because we're about to explore some truly transformative facets of this profound practice. Let's start with something we can all relate to: the illusion of permanent possession. Have you ever poured your heart and soul into something you deeply cared about, only to see it eventually change, fade, or simply become something different than what you imagined? Think of a child at the beach, meticulously crafting a magnificent sandcastle, complete with towers and moats, investing so much care and attention into each grain of sand. And then, inevitably, the relentless tide rolls in, slowly at first, and then with unstoppable force, washing away their creation. This simple image mirrors so much of our lives, doesn't it? We pour our hearts into raising our families, creating cherished memories we hope will last a lifetime. We invest deeply in our friendships, sharing laughter and support, believing those bonds will be a constant source of comfort. We accumulate treasures, photos, keepsakes, mementos, each one a tangible reminder of precious moments, often believing they will bring us lasting joy. Yet the fundamental truth of existence is change, impermanence. The great Buddha himself taught us this profound concept of impermanence, or anicca, emphasizing that absolutely everything in the phenomenal world is in a constant state of flux, always moving, always changing. Nothing is static. Everything is in a process of becoming and unbecoming. Consider the touching story of May, an elderly woman of 85 who, over her lifetime, had lovingly gathered a beautiful collection of antiques. Each piece wasn't just an object, it held a memory, a story woven into the fabric of her life. But as her health began to decline, and the time came for her to downsize her home, May found herself overwhelmed by a deep sense of anxiety. Every item she considered letting go of felt like losing a piece of herself, a fragment of her past. One day, while sharing her struggles with her granddaughter, a thoughtful Zen practitioner, May recounted her emotional turmoil. Her granddaughter listened with compassion and then gently reminded her of the core Buddhist teaching of non-attachment. "Grandma," she said softly, "these beautiful objects have indeed served their purpose in your life, bringing you immense joy and precious memories. But those memories, the very essence of those experiences, reside within you, in your heart and mind, not within the objects themselves. Holding on to them so tightly, fearing their loss, is actually causing you more pain than pleasure in this moment." Slowly, a new understanding began to dawn within May. She started to share her cherished items with her loved ones, recounting the stories behind each piece, and she discovered a new kind of joy in witnessing their appreciation. She realized that the essence of those experiences, the love and connection associated with them, lived on within her, completely independent of the physical objects. This act of letting go wasn't a loss, but a profound liberation, freeing her from the burden of clinging. The profound payout here is this: truly recognizing the impermanent nature of all things, our possessions, our relationships, even our own physical bodies, allows us to loosen our grip. It enables us to appreciate the beauty and value of the present moment, without the constant fear of future loss consuming us. When we deeply understand that everything we hold dear will eventually change, transform, or fade away, we can truly cherish it while it lasts and release it with greater ease when its time comes. But this understanding might bring up another crucial question. If everything is constantly changing, like that relentless tide, how do we find any sense of stability or lasting peace amidst the apparent chaos? That leads us to our next vital point: the trap of craving and desire. There's often a persistent yearning, a nagging feeling that something is missing, even when we've lived full lives. It might be the desire for a bit more energy, a little less pain, or a deeper connection with loved ones, a longing for more comfort, more ease, more companionship as we navigate our later years. This is a very common experience. However, Buddhist philosophy, in its profound wisdom, identifies desire, tanha, as a primary root of suffering. Now, this isn't about denying ourselves all pleasures or living a life of complete austerity. Instead, it's about understanding the very nature of craving, how it creates a seemingly endless cycle of dissatisfaction. Because even when we achieve what we intensely desire, the satisfaction is often fleeting, like a burst of energy that quickly dissipates, only to be replaced by a new desire, a new goal to chase. Imagine Margaret, a devoted homemaker who spent her life caring for her family. She poured her energy into creating a warm and loving home, raising her children, and supporting her husband. She always believed that if she could just make sure everyone was happy and well cared for, she would feel truly fulfilled. After her children grew up and her husband retired, she found herself with more time on her hands than she knew what to do with. Yet, to her surprise, Margaret found herself feeling a little restless and unfulfilled. The initial sense of freedom, the joy of having time for herself, began to fade, replaced by a nagging sense of emptiness and a feeling of not knowing what to do with her days. She missed the purpose and connection she found in caring for her family. One day, feeling lonely and wondering what to do with her time, Margaret joined a local knitting circle. She began to create beautiful blankets and scarves for those in need, sharing her skills and connecting with others. It was during these moments of creativity and connection that she began to realize that true fulfillment didn't come from endless caregiving, but from finding joy in the present moment and sharing her talents with others. Margaret slowly learned that true fulfillment doesn't come from the endless acquisition of more, but from finding peace and acceptance with what is. The real secret here is realizing that true happiness comes from inside us. It's not something we can keep searching for in the outside world. When we watch our desires without judging them, just noticing them as they come and go, and understand that they don't last forever, we can start to loosen their hold on us. This doesn't mean we stop enjoying things or give up on what we want. Instead, it means we go after our goals with more calm and balance. We find joy and satisfaction in the journey itself, not just in getting to the final result, which might not even last. These deeply ingrained desires can feel like the very essence of who we are. Yet, as we'll discover, there are gentle and practical ways to navigate beyond these desires, to find a different, perhaps more fulfilling path forward. The power of acceptance. As we grow older, we often encounter realities we wish were different. The need to downsize our homes, the increasing reliance on others for support, the gradual loss of independence we once cherished. Resisting these changes only amplifies our anxiety and creates a constant internal battle with fear and uncertainty. Ancient Zen practice beautifully emphasizes the profound power of acceptance. Now let me be clear, this isn't about passive resignation or simply giving up in the face of adversity. Instead, it's about acknowledging what is in this very moment without the heavy burden of judgment or resistance. It's about learning to meet life on its own terms rather than constantly wishing it were different, constantly fighting against the current. Consider the inspiring story of Eleanor, a vibrant and active woman in her late 60s who received a diagnosis of a chronic illness that significantly limited her mobility. Initially, she was understandably filled with anger, sadness, and despair, constantly lamenting the loss of her independence and the many activities she could no longer enjoy. This fierce resistance to her new reality only amplified her suffering, leading to feelings of deep isolation and bitterness. One day, her physical therapist, a gentle woman with a remarkably calm demeanor, shared some insightful perspectives drawn from Stoic philosophy, a school of thought that deeply resonates with many aspects of Zen wisdom. She explained to Eleanor that while we cannot always control what happens to us in life, the external events, we absolutely can control our reaction to those events, our internal landscape. Eleanor, intrigued, began to explore the practices of mindfulness and meditation, learning to observe her thoughts and feelings as they arose, without getting swept away by them, without clinging to the negativity. Slowly, with consistent practice, Eleanor began to gently accept her new reality. This wasn't an overnight transformation, but a gradual softening of her resistance. She started to focus her attention on what she could still do, finding immense joy and gratitude in the smaller, often overlooked aspects of life. The warmth of the sun on her skin, the delicate beauty of a flower in her garden, a heartfelt conversation with a cherished friend. This acceptance wasn't easy. It required courage and a shift in perspective. But ultimately, it brought her a profound sense of inner peace and allowed her to live her life with grace and remarkable resilience, despite her physical limitations. The big lesson here is that accepting things as they are can really set us free. When we acknowledge and embrace the present moment, even with its problems, difficulties, and pain, we lessen the inner struggle that causes so much suffering. This doesn't mean we don't try to make things better when we can. It just means we approach those efforts with a sense of inner peace and calm instead of frustration and anger. But how can we actively cultivate this ability to accept what we cannot change, especially when faced with significant pain, loss, or profound disappointment? The key to finding freedom from this suffering often lies in a practice known as cultivating non-attachment. Think about the deep love you have for your family and friends, and the precious memories you've created together. It's natural to cherish these bonds and fear losing them. This fear often stems from attachment, clinging to people and memories as if they were permanent fixtures, essential to our happiness and well-being. Now, it's crucial to understand that love, connection, and appreciation are vital and beautiful aspects of the human experience. The wisdom of Zen practice doesn't advocate for becoming cold or indifferent to the world around us. Instead, it gently guides us towards non-attachment, which isn't about emotional coldness or detachment in that sense. Rather, it's about cultivating a healthy and balanced relationship with ourselves and the world, deeply recognizing the inherent interconnectedness and, yes, the impermanence of all things. Think of the renowned spiritual leader, Thich Nhat Hanh, a figure who experienced immense personal loss and displacement throughout his life. Yet, his teachings consistently and beautifully emphasize the profound importance of non-attachment. He often uses the simple yet powerful metaphor of a cloud passing through the vast sky. The cloud appears, it takes on various shapes and forms, it might even bring rain, and then, eventually, it disappears entirely, dissolving back into the open expanse. But the sky itself remains, vast, open, and unchanged. Similarly, people and experiences come and go in our lives. They appear, they bring richness and meaning, and then they eventually pass. Our inherent capacity for peace, for joy, for love, remains within us, like the vast sky. Thich Nhat Hanh's own life serves as a powerful testament to the fact that even in the face of profound loss and change, it is absolutely possible to cultivate deep inner peace through the practice of non-attachment. It's about loving deeply and wholeheartedly without clinging possessively, appreciating fully the beauty of each moment without constantly fearing its inevitable end, and understanding that everything is part of a continuous, flowing process. The really important thing to understand is that non-attachment actually helps us enjoy love and joy even more. Because when we're not always worried about losing things, we can be fully present and enjoy what we have right now. It frees us from the ups and downs of holding on tightly when things are good and desperately trying to avoid change when it comes. By letting go of the need to control or possess, we can truly appreciate the beauty and preciousness of the present moment and how connected we all are. But how do we practically cultivate this state of non-attachment in our busy, everyday lives? One powerful tool for achieving this is the practice of mindfulness. It's not uncommon to find our minds preoccupied with health concerns, worries about loved ones, or feelings of isolation, leading us to go through an entire day on what feels like autopilot. This state of a distracted and scattered mind can make it difficult to fully appreciate the simple beauty and richness of the present moment. Mindfulness, a core and foundational practice in Zen Buddhism, is the gentle art of paying attention to the present moment with a quality of non-judgmental awareness. It is the very foundation upon which the cultivation of letting go is built. By intentionally training ourselves to be fully present right here and right now, we become increasingly aware of our thoughts, our feelings, and our physical sensations as they arise, and importantly, as they pass away, without getting caught up in their narratives, without identifying ourselves solely with them. This developing awareness allows us to clearly see the impermanent nature of our experiences, both pleasant and unpleasant, and to gradually loosen the powerful grip of our attachments and our often unrealistic desires. Consider the journey of Mr. Sato, an elderly gentleman in his early 70s who had dedicated his entire life to working tirelessly, always striving, always planning for the future, rarely taking a moment to simply be. In his retirement, a time that should have been filled with peace and relaxation, he found himself surprisingly restless and anxious, his mind still racing with old worries and lingering regrets. His daughter, who had found solace and clarity through her own meditation practice, gently encouraged him to try a simple mindfulness exercise, focusing solely on the sensation of his breath. Initially, Mr. Sato found it incredibly difficult to quiet the constant chatter of his mind, but with patient and consistent practice, even just a few minutes each day, he began to notice the subtle sensations of his breath, the gentle rise and fall of his chest, the coolness of the air as it entered his nostrils, the warmth as it left. As he consciously focused his attention on this simple, natural rhythm, the relentless stream of his thoughts began to gradually slow down. The mental noise started to subside, he began to truly appreciate the simple act of breathing, the feeling of the warm sun on his skin during his morning walk, the delicate taste of his tea in the afternoon. Through the consistent practice of mindfulness, Mr. Sato began to deeply connect with the richness of the present moment, discovering a profound sense of peace and quiet contentment that had eluded him during his many busy and striving years. He came to understand that true richness and fulfillment lie not in the constant pursuit of something more, something in the future, but in fully and mindfully experiencing the preciousness of the here and now. The most important thing to understand here is that mindfulness is the key to truly letting go and finding lasting peace. By practicing being aware of the present moment, we gain the clarity to see our attachments and desires without judging them. This allows those desires to naturally loosen their grip on us. It's in the quiet stillness of the present moment, when our minds aren't stuck in the past or worrying about the future, that we discover the true freedom that comes from releasing our need to cling to things. And that understanding, that moment of clarity, is often the first step. The path to liberation, to true inner peace and lasting happiness, often begins with a single, courageous step: the willingness to gently release our grip and to embrace the power of letting go. If you found these insights valuable and are feeling inspired to take the next step on your own beautiful journey towards inner peace, we would be honored if you would consider subscribing to the Moon Mind Temple. Here, you'll find more teachings and practical practices rooted in timeless wisdom to guide you on your path. May your journey be filled with ever-increasing peace, understanding, and a profound sense of freedom. Until next time, may your mind be like the moon, reflecting peace and tranquility.